Nice night to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television. It's 6 p.m. in Douala and it's time for the news. Thank you so much for joining us. Our major stories this evening: Cameroonians, especially the young people, have been fleeing from the suffering and desperation in the country to seek refuge and better tomorrow in other countries, despite all the risks involved. The Ministry of External Relations confirms that at least 16 Cameroonians fighting for Russia have died in the war in Ukraine. We'll tell you more in this news edition. Plus, in exactly 8 days, the head of the Roman Catholic Church in the world and the president of the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV, will arrive Cameroon. How is the Douala Archdiocese, especially the youth, preparing to welcome the Holy Father? Our guest on the news tonight is Reverend Father Christopher Gekum, youth chaplain of the Archdiocese of Douala. Viewers, those are our lead stories. Details and more when we come back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your usual confidence. We take you first to the southwest region, precisely to the Coupe Maninguba division, where farmers in Tombel and Yasoso in the southwest are complaining about the deplorable state of the road network, particularly the farm-to-market roads. They say this has practically affected their activities, as it is now a very daunting task transporting their goods from the farm to the market. Mala Glory tells us more in this report.
The road between Tombel and Nyasoso in the Coupe Maningoba division of the southwest region is treacherous, characterized by severe disrepair and often described as impassable for vehicles. Navigating through is a daunting task for road users and especially for cocoa and plantain farmers transporting their produce. This is just one of the many challenges faced by locals.
We have problems of water problems, the pipe-borne water problems. We have problems of the post office. We have problems of the MTN station, and we have so many more.
Case of the Nyasoso Integrated Health Center that was created in 2023, but yet to go operational.
The elites state that while the road project is on the way, they blame administrative authorities for delaying its completion.
The state has put this road on a project for 2020, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029. And those who are in charge of realizing the project of this road should do exactly what the state has previewed. Because the problem is, people realize what the state did not ask them to do. They realize less than what the state realized them to do.
The issue was raised in the course of their traditional gathering, Nyakuda, that brought together sons and daughters from far and near to plan the development of their villages.
The development of Nyasoso is not a one-man thing. All hands on deck for Nyasoso to develop in the right way.
While traditional dances from Nyasoso grace the ceremony, the people continue to wait on the authorities to address the problem of bad roads, electricity, and others.
We stay in the southwest region in the heart of the Anglophone crisis in the Nguti subdivision in the Coupe Mandiguba, where several key institutions in that area are said to be in ruins. The central market has turned into a grazing field. Meanwhile, the government bilingual high school in Nguti is in ruins as it stands. Let's now have more with Rex Afon, who went to Nguti.
At first glance, one may think this is a farm-to-market road, but it isn't. This road cuts through the heart of Nguti town in the Coupe Maninguba division. Along this stretch, sit key infrastructures, the market, the district hospital, and the government bilingual high school, all abandoned. The Nguti Central Market has now become a grazing field and a haven for reptiles. Its neglected state has even turned it into an open toilet for some residents. This is the Nguti District Hospital. Normally, patients and medical staff would have filled the space, but today, grass overtakes it. Built by the Southwest Regional Assembly, this block stands out only by its color and its fundus. Functionally, it is dead. Here is the government bilingual high school Nguti, once a citadel of learning. The institution has helped to shape strong and capable leaders. Today, its past glories lie in ruins. Some residents say, if only the roads were better and the government invested intentionally in rebuilding Nguti, things could be different.
I don't know what the government sees about the reopening of the school, the market, and the hospital. Because hospital itself is one of the basic things of health. We are saying that health-wise, we are opportune to gain our health, but we are very disgruntled about that. The hospital is not open.
Since the beginning of the crisis, they have stolen so many things in this school. Even the roof, they removed the roof, remove all zinc, but the problem here is road. We need road. We want the government to help us to maintain that road so that everything will flow very easy.
When school used to normally function here at Government Bilingual High School, Nguti, this structure used to be as busy as a beehive. But now, this administrative block, which harbored the principal of Government Bilingual High School Nguti, is now completely deserted with no occupant. This is an evidence of the devastating effects of the crisis that has so rocked this atmosphere. Reporting from the town of Nguti, precisely the abandoned or Government Bilingual High School, I am Rex Afon, Equinoxe Television.
Thank you so much, Rex Afon. And now we talk politics. Maurice Kamto, the president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, has launched an online petition against the constitutional amendment reintroducing the post of the vice president, citing Article 64 concerns. The petition opposes negotiated presidential succession and term extensions for MPs and also municipal councillors. Over 15,000 have signed so far, with Professor Kamto urging Cameroonians to express their frustrations. How far can this petition go is a question we asked to a jurist and also a political analyst. For me, I'm Strong Sanda.
The Cameroon Renaissance Movement sharing party leader Professor Maurice Kamto in his petition argues that the decision by the Cameroonian Parliament pending ratification contravenes Article 64 of the Cameroonian Constitution. Kamto therefore asks Cameroonians to sign in an online petition denouncing the adopted bill.
Such a petition that is coming in can only be legitimate if it goes ahead to have the points as well as the backing of the number of Cameroonians that might step in to sign the petition.
To a jurist and political analyst, Kinang Derrick, Kamto's petition threatens the adopted bill with legitimacy, though wanting in legality. Kinang Derrick says the eventual impacts of the petition cannot be ignored.
I strongly believe it is a petition that can only question the legitimacy of the amendment, but not the legality. It is a petition that, from the political standpoint, can only pressurize the regime and push it towards having some consideration as to power sharing and protection of the interests of Cameroonians as a whole.
However, he highlights that members of parliament acted in all legality on behalf of the sovereign people. So far, over 15,000 Cameroonians have signed in the online petition. Maurice Kamto and his CRM party officials believe that this is the best way Cameroonians can express their frustrations with the adopted bill.
And Dr. Aristide Monod has released a 242-page book titled From Kamto to Chiroma, State Gangsterism at its Brutal State. The book sheds light on the disputed October 2025 presidential election in Cameroon, detailing the disqualification of Professor Maurice Kamto and alleged vote manipulation that disfavored Issa Chiroma Bakari. Immaculate Fogwe with more.
5 months after the October 2025 presidential election, Dr. Aristide Monod releases a book revealing what he considers as the truth about the electoral process.
Nous avons pris le soin de compiler un bon nombre de faits pour essayer d'archiver.
The book compiles facts and testimonies to shed light on the events surrounding the election.
Il est question pour nous de revenir sur le processus de disqualification qui a été ourdi, orchestré par l'ordre dominant.
Dr. Aristide Monod revisits the disqualification of Professor Maurice Kamto and alleged hijacking of popular vote which favored candidate Issa Chuma Bakari.
Parti au pouvoir et ses comparses se sont comportés comme un cartel mafieux, on dirait.
He describes the ruling party's action as a mafia cartel and concludes that Cameroon has regressed to a state of nature. The book proposes a call to justice, emphasizing that crimes committed during the election should not go unpunished.
Nous faisons des efforts de restituer un bon nombre de témoignages, de citer également les noms des auteurs ayant joué un rôle assez important.
Dr. Monod hopes the document will aid in establishing responsibilities and bringing perpetrators to justice. The 242-page book, prefaced by Barrister Liscombe, is titled From Kamto to Chiruma, State Gangsterism at its Brutal State.
And now over to one of our lead stories. Cameroonians, especially the young people, have been fleeing from the suffering and desperation in the country to seek refuge in a better tomorrow in other countries. Despite all the risks involved, the Ministry of External Relations has confirmed that at least 16 Cameroonians, young people fighting for Russia, have died in the war in Ukraine. Cedric Chakutio with more.
The Cameroonian Ministry of External Relations confirmed in a note dated April 6, 2026, the death of 16 Cameroonian contract soldiers deployed in the Special Military Operations Zone in Russia. The information reached Yaoundé via a diplomatic note from the Russian Embassy in Cameroon transmitted on March 5, 2026. These men were enrolled as contract soldiers in the Russian forces as part of the war that Russia has been waging against Ukraine since February 2022. This tragedy reveals a little unknown reality where hundreds of young Africans, including Cameroonians, enrolled as contract soldiers in the Russian army, lured by promises of high salaries. Many went to the front line without their families being fully informed of the real risks. For these 16 families, the official announcement reopened wounds, some of which have been floated for months, filled with worry and silence. The families of the victims are urged to contact the Directorate for Cameroonians Abroad in Yaoundé.
And now we talk sports. The president of the Confederation of African Football, CAF, Patrice Motsepe, is in Senegal for high-level talks aimed at easing tensions following a controversial ruling by CAF's appeal board. According to sources, the talks will center on reconciliation and ensuring all stakeholders remain committed to CAF's long-term vision for the growth and development of African football. More with Sumanji Kangibrel.
The visit of Dr. Patrice Motsepe comes at a critical time amidst rising tension within Senegalese football following the appeals jury's decision to strip them of their 2025 AFCON trophy. The football governing body is eager to restore unity and stability across African football in the wake of the contentious decision. During this visit, CAF's president is scheduled to meet with officials of the Senegalese Football Federation as well as key government representatives. The discussions are expected to focus on restoring confidence, addressing grievances, and reinforcing cooperation between CAF and its member associations. His intervention underscores the seriousness of the matter and CAF's commitment to maintaining unity across African football. The president of the Senegalese Football Federation, Abdoulaye Fall, says Senegal is a land of hospitality.
Le Sénégal, c'est le pays de la Teranga. La Teranga, c'est l'hospitalité. Tous les Africains sont les bienvenus ici au Sénégal. Vraiment, le président Motsepe s'il prend la décision de venir au Sénégal, il sera très bien accueilli ici au Sénégal. Parce que aussi, nous sommes tous des Africains. Ici aussi, c'est son pays.
Senegal finds itself in a state of pain after CAF announced that Morocco is the new football champion following a boardroom decision. The decision has not been widely welcomed by the biggest part of the continent since Senegal lodged a formal appeal with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS. It should be recalled that 18 Senegalese were sentenced for between 3 months and 1 year in prison for hooliganism during the 2025 AFCON final. Elsewhere, 7 Eritrean national team players have escaped in South Africa, refusing to return home after a successful 2027 AFCON qualifier against Eswatini. Only 3 of the 10 home-based players returned to Asmara, marking another incident in a long history of players defecting to escape mandatory lifelong national service. Amongst the players who fled was a goalkeeper and other on-the-field squad members. The players absconded after a 4-1 aggregate win over Eswatini. It wasn't the first time Eritrean players are reported missing, as in 2019, 7 members of the Eritrea women's team disappeared in Uganda after a tournament. Eritrea's team has previously withdrawn from competitions to prevent players from using international travel to seek asylum.
Thanks so much. And that sports report brings us to the end of the first part of the news, viewers. Let's now move on to talking points. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Reverend Father Christopher Gekum. He is the chaplain, the youth chaplain, and also chaplain of the Catholic Women Association, and chaplain also of the St. Jude Apostolate Hall of the Archdiocese of Douala. Reverend Father, thank you so much for accepting to talk to us on Equinoxe Television tonight. Now, in a week, that is, in exactly 8 days, the Holy Father Pope Leo XIV will be in Cameroon and in Douala, and mobilization within the church and among the clergy has been upbeat from what we have observed on the field, especially from today. Father Christopher, you are the chaplain of over 12,000 youths of the Archdiocese of Douala, chaplain also of over 3,000 women of the CWA, all preparing to welcome the Pope, the Holy Father Pope Leo XIV. Now tell us, what is the level of preparedness at the level of the Archdiocese of Douala so far?
First of all, the Pope is a representative of Christ on earth. And if we accept that, it means he's a great personality. He's not just coming for himself, he's coming because heaven have sent him to come give a message. Because a messenger brings a message from the author of life. And that is the highest personality on earth. And we want to say that it's not an easy journey because the Roman Catholic Church found in Rome is very, very delicate. That is delicate in the sense that they are very strict when they are celebrating Jesus Christ. And that is why he will be coming with about 200 people as a delegation. And we started working long ago, and they are so strict because where the Pope is going to enter, they measure everything, you know, and they detail to us what to do in order to receive him. Because the liturgy is not a small matter. They are coming to celebrate the rights of God on earth. So preparations are gearing so powerfully as days goes by. And we are not only working alone, but we work with the state, the government that are taking charge of many things. You know, they are completely implicated because, for your information, you know that the Pope is also the head of the state of the Vatican. So he's coming into a dimension as the head of state and also, you know, the head of Christ Church on earth. So the youths are solely implicated because the Pope is coming to address young people in Douala. You know, give them food, something to eat yourself. That is the theme. Give them something to eat yourself. It means that we find a lot of young people who are discouraged, a lot of young people who no longer have the hope to live. to survive. So the Pope is coming here to speak to young people. I think it concerns young people because Douala is like the paradise of Cameroon, because it's the economic capital. So youth from all over the world and from all the 10 regions of Cameroon are here, especially when you know that the war, in the northwest and southwest has brought out most of the people. We deal with them here, and most of them are in the city of Douala.
Thank you, Father. Now, the thousands of young people and also tens of thousands of Christians, other Christians under your care, how spiritually prepared should they be before and during the Pope's stay among us in Cameroon?
Yeah, the young people are thirsting for God, and they cannot have the means to meet the Pope in the Vatican. How much more of coming to them here and to speak to them? They are eager because, first of all, we are in a synod year. We are living a synod. A synod is, that period where we reflect on the suffering and the needs of young people. So we are working on that. This is the second period. And you see, the second period has permitted young people to return to church, to come and hear the invitation of Christ. And today, we talk of integral formation of young people and help them, to discover their talents and orientate them so that at least they have something to eat, And 2 weeks ago, we had the Diocesan Youth Day. It was decentralized in the 10 zones of Douala. The aim was to actually identify the talents of young people and their most important certificate to see how we can help them to better, live in the society and gain something to eat. The Archbishop says we don't only talk about God to them, we also teach them on how to look for money, on how to be responsible. So the Pope will come to apply that to talk to young people. He's telling the young people who have faith to give them something to eat. Not all young people are poor. But many young people are rich, but they don't know how to use their talents. And as integral formation, especially professional and spiritual, Cameroon will be a place where young people will aspire to become part and parcel of builders, because there are riches in Cameroon that distractions are taking us away, and it is dangerous. We want to bring them on the rail to discover the riches we have and try to contribute, to producing some of them and making Cameroon a better place.
Okay. Now, Father, you are at the St. Paul of Nilong Parish. One of the structures the Pope will visit while in Cameroon is the St. Paul Catholic Hospital in Nilong, where you are here in Douala, where he is expected to visit the sick. Is there any spiritual significance to the Holy Father's visits to that hospital?
The church, the ministry of the church is to do what? Bring everything good to the world. And the missionary work of the church is that of Jesus Christ. Jesus was a friend of the poor. Through the sick people here, the Pope will be meeting all the sick people in Cameroon. Through them, he will open a prayer to pray. In touching this one, it will communicate to all the sick people. So if all the sick people in the world are in communion with this, miracles will happen. Miracles, wonders will happen. The Pope would have prayed with the sick. So he has chosen this time the sick who are suffering in the hospital to touch the most in need. So it is not only respecting the 7 corporal works of mercy, but the whole ministry of Jesus Christ. Because when he was alive, in history here on earth, he was giving sight to the blind, taking care of the sick, even the lepers and the rest. So Jesus is for the most, in need too. And that is part of it. He will not only come and preach to the people, he will also go and meet the needy. He would have chosen, a handicap center or an orphanage, but this time he has chosen but those who are sick, physically, spiritually, and otherwise. So we thank God for that.
Okay. Now, Father, you just spoke about protocol. there's maybe 1,000 or 2,000 youths who are going to be directing people. The mass is going to take place at Jab. Thank you so much, Father Christopher. Now, let's go to our next question. While in Douala, everyone who wants to see the Pope Leo XIV, Catholics and non-Catholics alike, especially at the Japoma Stadium, where he will celebrate Mass, what dispositions have been taken to ensure that everyone gets a view of the Holy Father Pope Leo? We're just talking there on protocol. How is it going to happen?
No, the Japoma, parking space is about 24 hectares. It can take 2 million people. And we are sure that it will contain a lot of people. 2 million people can enter there. And we want to be sure that they will have space. It is important to come because, the most important thing the Pope will be doing in this country is to celebrate the mysteries of Christ on earth. When Mass is celebrated, heaven and earth join to be sanctified. Time is sanctified. So it is the whole Cameroon that will be sanctified. In a sense that he celebrates 3 Masses, in Yaoundé, in Douala, and in Bamenda, which signify the Trinity. 3 Masses signifies God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. And the church is in a very joyful moment, the history of Easter, where Christ is risen from the dead. So it is the joy of celebrating Christ. So he's the bringer of joy and peace and hope. And that is what our T-shirts are bearing, the messenger of peace and hope. So youth are already, the social media, television, like you are doing, to tell everybody to be there. Because Mass is the center of and the heart of God. That's why you find people who abandon, even Muslims will be there. All kinds of people will be there.
Exactly, Father. Now, before we go, after his arrival in Yaoundé, the Pope goes to Bamenda the next day in a context of total insecurity, kidnapping, killings, etc. How can we explain that despite all the risks involved, Pope Leo still insisted to meet with the people in Bamenda?
Yes, no, when Jesus, during the Passion period, in our season, he said, I am going to Jerusalem. Jerusalem was a war-torn area where he would die. He knew that he would die, but he decided to go there to console the people, the most in need. The Pope, Jesus has revealed to the Pope that those people up there need you, need your voice, because we need dialogue. We don't need to fight ourselves. The Pope is coming to give us hope, to ask us to stop living in conflict, to stop living at war, killing one another. And we need to be careful, because if the Pope is coming, I assure you that even those who are the Ambazonians, so-called, the Pope is not only going for Christians, he's also going for all those people who say they are fighting for their rights. You should express yourself. The Pope is coming to bless you, to say stop fighting. He's coming to make peace, because Matthew chapter 5 verse 9 says, happy are the peacemakers, they will be called sons of God. You don't only go to where there is no war, you have to go to where people are disheartened and listen to them. Because the church is the church, the ear of God. So the Pope is not just going to celebrate Mass, he's going to listen to the people. Why are you doing this? What is happening? You have suffered enough. It's better that you let go, because God is about to bless you. It's a man that brings blessings. And if those who are fighting, should listen to the Pope, I think that God himself will set them free. Because he did not only come for, the righteous, he came especially for who? For the sinners and the downtrodden. So that is why the Pope is going there, because he's going to meet people who are suffering, who have been suffering since 2016. I tell you, it is not an easy thing. A lot of people have died because of these kind of things. So the Pope is coming to arrange that, to say, no, heaven has heard your prayers. Calm down and let go, because this bloodshed is the worst thing that can happen. To kill someone, whether the person is good or bad, nobody has the right, because the Bible says you shall not spill blood. in the book of Exodus chapter 20 from verse 1 to 17. Thou shalt not kill. The killings we are making in this country and the bloodshed that are taking place, God is not happy. That is why we need to stop in order to let God come and take over his country, because it is him. And he is the president and leader of our country.
Thank you so much, Reverend Father Christopher Gekum, for accepting to be our guest on the news to talk on how prepared the Archdiocese of Douala is to receive Pope Leo XIV, that would be from Wednesday next week. Thank you again, Father, and hope to have you some other time, because we will be coming back, sure. And viewers, that was what we put together for you on this edition of the news. Thank you so much for always being there, but don't go away, our programs continue. Equinoxe would be yours in about 30 minutes or so with Saja Lang, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Thank you, and stay with us on Equinoxe Television. God willing, we will be together again tomorrow, same time. From now, it's bye-bye from us.